And now it's time for some military history. Last time we spoke about South Africa's involvement in the Angolan civil war, which was kept secret from the public. Jeff Abramovich is here with me, and you brought a friend, a guest, Mr. Laurie Shochat, a veteran of that same campaign.
Right, and just to recap, 1975, there had been a coup in Portugal and its colonies in Africa, Mozambique and Angola, were headed for independence. And in Angola, there was a power struggle between three separate groups who would come out top when the Portuguese left. On the one side, you had the MPLA, communist-backed, and then you had two pro-Western groups, FNLA and UNITA. And the West, of course, didn't want a communist Angola, and they were giving help to the pro-Western groups, and South Africa got involved because South Africa definitely didn't want a communist Angola on the border with what was then Southwest Africa, giving aid and comfort to anti-South African guerrillas. South Africa got involved. It sent in initially a task force, which was kept secret, and Laurie here was, I think you can say, unlucky enough to be a member of that task force.
So what did they tell you? Did they tell you the truth?
Well, we had been sitting for 2 months on the border. You know, there were a lot of refugees coming down from central Angola, and also protecting, there was a hydroelectric scheme. And all of a sudden, one day, guys were just picked out across, you know, along the border at the different units and said, bring your sleeping bag and a change of clothing, that's all. Nothing was told to us. And we met up in some forest. And when we met up there, they said, take off your uniforms, take off your ID tags. Here you've got new uniforms, take off your boots. And we were given canvas shoes. And then when we looked around at all the vehicles there, none of the vehicles had registration numbers. They had all been painted, Viva UNITA, Viva FNLA. And we were told then that night that all we're going to do is go attack one little town and come back.
And this little mission lasted for?
Over 2 months. For me, 2 months. For the rest of the troops that later were flown in, thousands of troops were flown in, you know, during that campaign as South Africa got involved till about February, 5-6 months.
But you were told what? What was the purpose of staying 2 months in your case?
Well, nobody said anything. I actually ended up with the headquarters of what was the Zulu Task Force. We, after capturing that town and I joined them, we spent the next about 35 days moving between 50 and 80 kilometers every single day, attacking and taking over town after town until we had actually captured more than half of Angola. We traveled 1,100 kilometers up to almost very close to Luanda. That's an equivalent of New York to Miami.
And during this period, you've been not able to tell anybody anything, right?
Well, you obviously...
It's been kept secret.
Well, not only was it kept secret, you were totally cut off from South Africa. No phone calls, there were no communications back to South Africa. So what did you tell your family? We basically disappeared off the map. Our families had no idea, our friends back in South Africa, and South Africans in general had no idea. There was a Secrets Act that the newspapers, even if anything came out, it was blocked.
And 2 months later, you come back home and you've been asked, okay, where have you been? And what do you say?
Well, that's when I eventually got out. But when I arrived back at my base in Southwest Africa after over 2 months, and I was split from the rest of my unit, they thought they'd seen a ghost, because they had actually heard that I was missing in action and killed. Somebody spread a rumor. And I can tell you that 40 years later on a Facebook page, a guy wrote to me 2-3 years ago that I've been sad, I thought you were dead for the last 39 years.
One anecdote from those days that you remember from Angola?
Well, one anecdote is that, you know, we have a Facebook group that got together only the last few years. So for 40 years, there was total silence. None of our families and friends know anything about what happened, even 40 years later. Today, nobody knows other than the people in the group, my comrades. And we managed to piece together one of the guys who died. We managed to piece together the story with his family, who had been told that he just died on the border.
Unbelievable. Jeff, Laurie, thank you very much for bringing this story. Amazing. And that's all we have for you this week. See you again next week in another edition of Strictly Security. Until then, bye-bye and have a safe and pleasant evening from all of us here in the Jaffa Project.